A single penny from 1978 could be hiding in a jar, a drawer, or even your pocket right now. And if it has the right characteristics, collectors could pay far more than 1 cent for it. But here's the twist. Most people spend these coins every single day without ever taking a closer look. Before you ignore another old penny, you need to hear this story. The 1978 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of those coins that sparks incredible excitement among collectors. Millions were made, so most examples are only worth face value. But a tiny number stand out because of exceptional condition, rare minting mistakes, or unusual characteristics that can send their value soaring. Knowing the difference could save you from accidentally spending something truly special. Think about it. How many pennies have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Now imagine if just one of them turned out to be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more under extraordinary circumstances. That's exactly why experienced collectors never overlook common-looking coins. The first thing many people get confused about is the missing mint mark. Seeing no mint mark doesn't automatically mean the coin is rare. For Lincoln pennies from 1978, no mint mark simply means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which normally did not place a mint mark on circulating cents during that period. That's completely normal. But don't stop listening, because this is where the story gets interesting. Even though millions of these Philadelphia pennies were produced, only a tiny fraction survived in spectacular condition. Most entered circulation immediately, picking up scratches, stains, and wear over decades of use. The few that somehow escaped heavy circulation are the ones collectors compete for today. Imagine a fresh roll of shiny pennies sitting untouched inside someone's dresser for nearly 50 years. Maybe they were forgotten after a trip to the bank. Maybe they were tucked away by someone who simply liked saving new coins. Decades later, those untouched coins can become much more desirable than the worn examples everyone else has. Here's something else many people never realize. Condition can completely change a coin's value. A heavily worn 1978 penny without a mint mark may only be worth 1 cent. A bright red, uncirculated example could sell for much more. And a professionally graded coin with nearly flawless surfaces may attract serious bidding from advanced collectors looking to complete high-grade registry sets. That's why experienced buyers study every tiny detail under magnification. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the pennies sitting in your house? Most people dump them into jars and forget about them. Collectors do the exact opposite. They search. They inspect. They compare. Because they know one overlooked detail can make all the difference. Now here's where things become even more exciting. Some 1978 pennies are valuable because of mint errors rather than their normal appearance. During the minting process, enormous presses strike thousands of coins every hour. Occasionally, something goes wrong. When that happens, unusual coins can slip into circulation before anyone notices. These mistakes create some of the most fascinating collectibles in American coin collecting. For example, off-center strikes happen when the blank planchet isn't perfectly aligned before it's struck. Instead of a normal design, part of the coin appears missing while the remaining design is shifted dramatically to one side. The more dramatic the error, while still showing the date, the more attention it often receives. Another possibility is a broad strike, where the coin expands beyond its normal shape because the retaining collar failed during striking. These coins instantly catch the eye. Then there are die cracks, die chips, and cut errors, where damaged dies leave raised lines or unusual lumps on the finished coin. Some are minor. Others are dramatic enough to become highly collectible varieties. And here's something that surprises many beginners. Not every unusual-looking coin is actually valuable. Damage from parking lots, washing machines, chemicals, or home experiments can easily fool inexperienced collectors. That's why learning the difference between genuine mint errors and post-mint damage is so important. Now imagine finding a strange-looking 1978 penny. Would you clean it first? If you said yes, stop right there. Cleaning is one of the biggest mistakes coin owners make. It may seem harmless, but cleaning can leave tiny scratches that permanently reduce collector value. Even gentle polishing can remove the original mint luster collectors want to see. Many valuable coins have lost significant value simply because someone wanted to make them look shiny. Instead, leave the coin exactly as you found it. Natural surfaces are almost always preferred. Here's another detail many people overlook. Color matters. Collectors often describe copper Lincoln cents as brown, red-brown, or red. A bright, original red coin usually commands much stronger prices than a dark brown example of similar quality because so few retain that fresh mint color after decades. That little difference can have a surprisingly large impact on value. Now let's build toward the question everyone wants answered. Can a 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark actually be worth $1 million? The truth is more interesting than the headline. Most 1978 pennies are not worth anywhere close to that amount. Typical circulated examples remain worth only 1 cent. Many attractive uncirculated examples sell for modest premiums. Exceptional certified coins in the very highest grades have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars because they're extraordinarily rare in top condition. Certain dramatic mint errors can also bring impressive prices depending on the rarity and collector demand. But verified $1 million sales for an ordinary 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny have not been established. Whenever you see headlines claiming every 1978 penny is worth millions, it's important to approach those claims carefully and rely on authenticated auction records instead. That doesn't make your search any less exciting. In fact, it makes it more rewarding. Because the real challenge isn't finding just any 1978 penny. It's finding the right one. Maybe it's an incredible mint state survivor. Maybe it's a dramatic mint error. Maybe it's an overlooked variety sitting unnoticed inside an old collection. Those discoveries are exactly what keeps collectors searching year after year. Picture opening an old coffee can filled with pennies inherited from a grandparent. Most people would see loose change. A collector sees possibilities. Each coin gets examined under good lighting. Each date gets checked. Each mint mark gets verified. Each unusual feature becomes another clue. That's how remarkable discoveries happen. Not through luck alone. Through patience, knowledge, and careful observation. Here's another quick challenge. Grab a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date. Study Lincoln's portrait. Inspect the lettering. Turn the coin over. Check the wheat ears. Wait, not this time. The 1978 penny features the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Another reminder that knowing your coin's design is part of becoming a smarter collector. Sometimes even experienced collectors miss obvious details when they rush. Slow down. Your eyes may notice something unexpected. You might even discover doubling in certain design elements, unusual strike quality, or another feature worth investigating further. Now imagine finding a penny that looks nearly perfect after almost 50 years. Almost no scratches. Original color. Sharp details. Beautiful luster. That kind of preservation immediately gets attention because so few survive that way. Professional grading services exist for exactly this reason. Independent experts evaluate authenticity, condition, and preservation before assigning a grade that buyers around the world recognize. A single point difference on the grading scale can dramatically affect market value. That's why serious collectors pay such close attention to quality. And here's one final surprise. The greatest treasure in your collection may not be the oldest coin. It may not even be the rarest date. Sometimes it's simply the best preserved example of an otherwise common issue. That's a lesson every collector eventually learns. So before you cash in that jar of pennies, spend a few extra minutes looking through every single one. Check every 1978. Look for unusual errors. Watch for outstanding condition. Never clean your coins. And if you believe you found something extraordinary, consider having it examined by a reputable professional grading service before making any decisions. Who knows? The next unforgettable discovery might already be sitting inside your own home, waiting for someone curious enough to notice it. Now I'm curious. Which old Lincoln penny is the oldest one you've ever found in your pocket change? Take a look after this video and let everyone know. You never know what incredible story could be hiding behind a single forgotten cent. And if uncovering hidden treasures in everyday pocket change fascinates you, make sure you stick around, because there are countless American coins with surprising stories and remarkable values that most people overlook every single day. The next life-changing discovery could begin with nothing more than another ordinary-looking penny. Stop scrolling for just a second, because the penny sitting in your pocket right now could be hiding a story that almost nobody knows. Most people spend it without a second thought, but a tiny detail on one 1987 Abraham Lincoln penny has sent collectors into a frenzy. And before you assume yours can't be special, wait until you see what separates an ordinary cent from one that can bring astonishing prices. The 1987 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of those coins that many Americans have handled without ever taking a close look. Millions were made, and that makes most people believe every single one is only worth 1 cent. That's exactly why valuable examples continue to slip through everyday pocket change. The biggest treasure hunters know that rarity isn't always about the date alone. It's about the tiny details that almost everyone misses. Here's where things get interesting. A 1987 penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. During that time, Philadelphia cents normally carried no mint mark, so finding one without a letter under the date isn't unusual. But don't click away yet, because this is where many people get confused. The missing mint mark isn't what creates the value. It's everything else that might be hiding on the coin. Imagine opening an old coffee can filled with pennies collected over decades. You start sorting through them one by one, expecting nothing more than loose change. Suddenly, one coin catches your eye. The color looks different. The strike seems unusually sharp. You notice something odd around the lettering. Could this be the one? That tiny moment of curiosity has started countless collecting journeys. Now here's the surprise. Some 1987 Lincoln pennies have sold for impressive amounts because of exceptional condition or unusual mint errors. That's the difference between an ordinary penny and one that collectors compete to own. A coin doesn't have to be ancient to become valuable. Sometimes all it needs is the perfect combination of rarity, condition, and demand. But before you start celebrating, let's slow down for a second. Most 1987 pennies are still worth only 1 cent. That's the truth. The real excitement comes from finding the uncommon examples that escaped the mint with something unusual. Those are the coins that attract attention at major auctions. Let's talk about condition first, because this is where fortunes can quietly begin. Collectors use a grading scale that rewards coins with almost no wear. If a 1987 penny has never entered circulation, still has its original bright red color, and shows almost flawless surfaces, it may be worth far more than face value. High-grade examples become surprisingly difficult to find because most were spent decades ago. Think about it. Every time a penny changes hands, it collects tiny scratches, small dents, and worn edges. After years in circulation, even a beautiful coin loses some of its original appearance. That's why untouched examples are so desirable today. But condition isn't the only thing that matters. Errors are where the real mystery begins. Picture a busy mint producing thousands of coins every minute. Machines are moving fast. Dies are striking blanks over and over again. Most coins come out exactly as intended. Every once in a while, though, something unexpected happens. Those accidents can create collectibles that become legendary. One of the most sought-after possibilities is a dramatic double die. On these coins, parts of the design may appear doubled because of the way the die was created. Look carefully at the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust." Even slight doubling can make collectors stop and take a closer look. Then there are off-center strikes. Instead of the design landing perfectly in the middle, part of the coin may be missing while the rest is shifted dramatically to one side. These eye-catching mistakes are impossible to ignore. Another fascinating possibility is a broad strike, where the coin spreads beyond its normal shape because the collar die didn't hold it properly during striking. The result looks unusual immediately. And here's something many people never consider. Sometimes tiny pieces of grease clog portions of a die, causing parts of the design to disappear. These are called struck-through-grease errors. They can create missing letters or weak details that make collectors curious. Now, don't assume every strange-looking coin is valuable. Damage that happens after the coin leaves the mint usually reduces value instead of increasing it. That's one of the biggest mistakes beginners make. Maybe you've seen a penny with scratches, corrosion, or someone carved initials into it. Those aren't mint errors. They're simply damaged coins. Knowing the difference could save you from making an expensive mistake. Here's another curiosity. Color matters more than many people realize. Lincoln cents are often classified as brown, red-brown, or red. A brilliant original red coin that has been preserved for decades is much harder to find than one that has turned dark over time. That bright copper glow can dramatically increase collector interest. Now let's build toward the question everyone has been waiting for. How much could a 1987 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny actually be worth? If it's heavily circulated, it's probably still worth only 1 cent. Slightly nicer circulated examples may sell for a few cents, or perhaps $1 to someone filling an album. Uncirculated examples with strong eye appeal can reach several dollars or even higher depending on quality. Certified coins with exceptional grades have sold for hundreds of dollars, and the finest known examples can command much more when serious collectors compete. Now here's where sensational stories often appear online. You may have seen headlines claiming a 1987 penny is worth millions of dollars. Those headlines grab attention, but there's no widely verified public sale of a standard 1987 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent reaching $1 million. Extraordinary claims usually involve unique error coins, exceptional circumstances, or exaggerated internet rumors. That's why verifying any claim through trusted auction records and professional grading is so important. But don't let that discourage you. History has shown again and again that rare error coins can surprise everyone. Collectors have paid astonishing amounts for genuinely unique pieces because only one or a handful exist. The challenge is knowing exactly what you're looking at. This is why experienced collectors never rush. Instead of cleaning a coin, they leave it exactly as they found it. Cleaning creates tiny scratches that experts can spot instantly. Even a gentle wipe can reduce collector value. Imagine finding an unusual penny, getting excited, polishing it until it shines, and then discovering you accidentally destroyed the very feature that made it valuable. It happens more often than you'd think. Here's another secret many beginners overlook. Lighting changes everything. Hold your penny under different angles. Rotate it slowly. Tiny doubling, unusual die cracks, or strange surfaces become much easier to notice under bright light. And don't stop with one coin. If you inherited an old jar of pennies from your parents or grandparents, go through every single one. Many valuable coins have been discovered in forgotten collections sitting in garages, dresser drawers, and cookie tins for decades. One family nearly donated an old jar of change before someone decided to sort through it first. Hidden among hundreds of ordinary pennies was a coin that turned out to be worth far more than anyone expected. Stories like that continue to inspire collectors across America. That's what makes coin collecting so exciting. Every handful of change carries possibility. Most coins won't change your life, but one unusual discovery can completely transform the way you look at every penny you receive. Before you spend another 1987 Lincoln cent, take just a few seconds to inspect it carefully. Check the date. Look for unusual doubling. Search for striking errors. Notice the color. Pay attention to the condition. Compare it with normal examples. The smallest difference could be the clue that starts an incredible discovery. And here's a question for you. Have you ever found a penny that looked different from all the others? Maybe it had an odd strike, unusual color, or a detail that didn't seem right. So don't ignore it. Sometimes the coins that appear strange at first become the ones collectors remember. The next time a cashier hands you change, resist the urge to toss those pennies into a jar without looking. One quick glance could reveal something thousands of other people missed. That's the thrill that keeps collectors searching year after year. Not because every coin is valuable, but because the next one just might be. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and keep checking. Have you ever tossed a 1988 Lincoln penny into a jar without a second thought? What if one tiny detail on that ordinary-looking coin could make collectors stop in their tracks? Before you spend another penny, you need to see this because one small feature could mean the difference between 1 cent and a life-changing payday. Most people assume every 1988 Lincoln penny is common. After all, millions were made and they're still found in pocket change today. But here's where things get interesting. A handful of 1988 pennies have become some of the most talked about modern coins among collectors because of rare varieties, unusual errors, and exceptional condition. If you know exactly what to look for, you might discover something hiding in plain sight. Now, let's clear up one of the biggest myths right away. You'll often see headlines claiming a regular 1988 no-mint mark penny is worth millions of dollars. That's simply not true. A typical circulated 1988 Philadelphia penny without a mint mark is usually worth only face value. But don't click away, because the real story is much more exciting than the myth. The difference between an ordinary coin and an extraordinary one often comes down to details so small that most people never notice them. That's why collectors examine every letter, every number, and every tiny design feature under magnification. Here's something that surprises almost everyone. If your 1988 penny has no mint mark, that actually means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that year, Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on Lincoln cents. So seeing no mint mark is completely normal. The question isn't whether it has a mint mark. The question is whether it has something unusual hiding on its surface. And this is where many people get confused. The real excitement begins with rare mint errors and varieties. One of the most famous is the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety. At first glance, it looks exactly like every other penny. But experts noticed that a small number of 1,988 coins were struck using a reverse design intended for the following year. Imagine carrying around a coin that looks ordinary until a specialist notices one tiny difference that changes everything. That's exactly why collectors love this variety. So what should you look for? The biggest clue appears around the initials of the designer near the Lincoln Memorial. The shape and placement of certain design elements match the 1989 reverse instead of the normal 1988 reverse. Without careful inspection, you'd probably never notice it. But experienced collectors know exactly where to look. Now imagine finding one of these while searching through an old coin jar that has been sitting untouched for decades. That's the dream that keeps collectors checking pennies one by one. But wait, because that's only the beginning. Another thing that can dramatically increase value is a dramatic mint error. We're talking about off-center strikes, broad strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other unusual mistakes made during the minting process. Not every error is valuable, but major, well-defined examples can attract serious collector interest. Think about it. The U.S. Mint produced billions of coins. Even with strict quality control, a few mistakes slipped through. Those mistakes, once considered defects, have become prized collectibles today. Here's something most people never realize. Condition matters just as much as rarity. You could have a rare variety, but if it's heavily worn, scratched, or damaged, its value may be much lower than a pristine example. On the other hand, a beautiful coin with original luster and almost no wear can command impressive prices, especially if it's professionally certified. This is why experienced collectors never clean old coins. That may sound strange. Wouldn't cleaning make the coin look better? Actually, no. Cleaning often leaves tiny scratches and removes the natural surface that collectors want to see. Even a gentle cleaning can permanently reduce a coin's collectible value. Countless people have accidentally turned valuable coins into ordinary ones simply by trying to make them shiny. So if you think you've found something unusual, leave it exactly as it is. Now let's build the suspense even further. Suppose you examine your 1988 no-mint mark penny and notice something that doesn't seem right. Maybe the lettering looks doubled. Maybe the strike appears unusual. Maybe the reverse design matches the famous variety. What happens next? This is where professional grading becomes incredibly important. Independent grading companies authenticate coins, identify varieties, evaluate condition, and assign a grade that collectors trust. A certified coin often attracts much more attention because buyers know exactly what they're getting. And here's something fascinating. Two coins that appear almost identical to the naked eye can have dramatically different values depending on their certified grade. A tiny improvement in preservation can mean hundreds, or even thousands of dollars in difference for the right coin. Now comes the question everyone has been waiting for. How much could a rare 1988 penny actually be worth? An ordinary circulated 1988 Philadelphia penny with no mint mark is generally worth 1 cent. A nice, uncirculated example might be worth a modest premium. Rare varieties, significant mint errors, or superb certified examples, however, have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the specific variety, rarity, condition, certification, and collector demand. The highest auction prices for exceptional examples are impressive, but claims that a standard 1988 no-mint mark penny is automatically worth millions are not supported by verified market sales. That's exactly why knowledge is your greatest advantage. Instead of believing sensational headlines, learn what truly creates value. Collectors don't pay huge prices simply because a coin is old. They pay for rarity. They pay for demand. They pay for exceptional preservation. And they pay for authenticated varieties that very few people own. Here's another surprising fact. Some collectors search through thousands of pennies before finding a single coin worth keeping. Imagine sitting at a table with rolls of pennies from the bank, examining every coin one by one. Most people would quit after a few minutes. Dedicated collectors keep going because they know one incredible discovery could be hiding in the very next roll. That possibility is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Every penny tells a story. Some traveled across America in cash registers. Some spent years forgotten inside dresser drawers. Others sat quietly in old coffee cans or piggy banks waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. Could one of those forgotten coins be hiding in your home? It's entirely possible. That doesn't mean every old penny is valuable. But it does mean every unusual penny deserves a careful inspection before it's spent. Here's a quick checklist whenever you find a 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Check the date carefully. Look for unusual doubling. Inspect the reverse design. Watch for striking errors. Avoid cleaning the coin. Compare it with reliable reference images. If something looks unusual, consider having it evaluated by an experienced coin dealer or professional grading service. Those few extra minutes could save you from accidentally spending something much more valuable than 1 cent. And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Sometimes the biggest mistake isn't overlooking a valuable coin. It's assuming you know what you have without verifying it. Many rare varieties look completely ordinary until they're examined closely. That's why experienced collectors continue learning year after year. Every new discovery makes them better at spotting hidden treasures. Now imagine this. Tonight, after this video ends, you decide to open that forgotten jar of pennies sitting in your closet. First, everything looks ordinary. Then one coin catches your attention. The date reads 1988. There's no mint mark. You remember everything you learned today. Instead of spending it, you inspect every detail carefully. Maybe it's common. Maybe it isn't. But now you know exactly what questions to ask before letting it go. That's the difference between guessing and collecting. The next time someone tells you every old penny is worthless, you'll know better. Most are ordinary, but every once in a while, an overlooked variety or remarkable error reminds us that extraordinary discoveries can still happen. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever searched through your pocket change and found a coin that looked unusual? Maybe you've inherited an old collection, or maybe you've been saving pennies for years without realizing what might be inside. Take another look, because your next great discovery could already be waiting just a few inches away. If you enjoy uncovering hidden treasures, rare coin stories, and surprising values hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure you subscribe and join us for the next adventure. You never know which ordinary-looking coin could turn out to be the one that everyone else overlooked. Have you been carrying a life-changing coin without even knowing it? A single 1992 Abraham Lincoln penny with a tiny D mint mark has sparked some of the biggest treasure-hunting stories in modern coin collecting. And one small detail could separate an ordinary 1-cent coin from a coin that collectors dream about. Before you spend another penny, take a closer look, because what you're about to learn might completely change the way you see your pocket change. Most people think every penny is worth exactly 1 cent. That's the biggest mistake they can make. Hidden among billions of ordinary coins are a few incredibly rare varieties that have sold for astonishing amounts at auction. While headlines sometimes claim that certain pennies are worth millions of dollars, the real story is even more fascinating because it all comes down to tiny details that almost nobody notices. Imagine cleaning out an old piggy bank, opening a forgotten coin jar, or receiving change from a grocery store. You barely glance at the pennies before tossing them into a drawer. But what if one of those coins was hiding a rare feature that experienced collectors spend years trying to find? That's exactly why the 1992 D. Lincoln cent has become one of the most talked about modern pennies in America. But here's where things get interesting. The vast majority of 1992 D pennies are completely normal. They were produced at the Denver Mint by the billions, and most are only worth face value unless they're in exceptional condition. However, a tiny number display an incredibly rare variety that has become legendary among collectors. The key isn't the date alone. It isn't even the mint mark by itself. It's one tiny design detail that many people overlook every single day. Before we reveal it, there's something you need to understand. Coin collecting isn't just about age. Plenty of coins from the early 1900s are worth only a few dollars, while some modern coins have sold for thousands because of rare varieties, minting mistakes, and extremely low survival numbers. That's why experienced collectors never judge a coin by its age alone. Now here's the mystery surrounding the famous 1992 D. Lincoln cent. When the dies were prepared for production, a very small number created what's known as the close AM reverse. On normal reverse designs from that era, the letters A and M in the word America have a noticeable gap between them. But on this rare variety, those letters appear almost touching. That tiny difference has created one of the greatest modern penny hunts ever. Sounds unbelievable, right? Think about it. Millions of people have handled these coins without ever checking those two letters. Now imagine discovering one sitting inside an old collection that's been untouched for decades. That's exactly why collectors remain excited every time a 1992 D penny appears. But don't grab your magnifying glass just yet. There are several other details you need to inspect because condition plays a massive role in value. A heavily worn coin with scratches, corrosion, or cleaning damage won't attract the same attention as an untouched example with sharp details and original surfaces. Professional grading companies examine everything. The color, the luster, the strike quality. Even tiny marks can affect the final grade, and that grade can dramatically change the value. Here's something many beginners never realize. Cleaning a coin usually lowers its value. People think polishing an old penny makes it more attractive, but collectors generally prefer original surfaces. Once the natural finish is removed, that damage can't be reversed. So if you believe you've found something unusual, resist the temptation to scrub it. Instead, hold it only by the edges and store it safely. Now let's add another twist. Counterfeit coins exist. Some altered coins have fake mint marks added. Others have been modified to imitate rare varieties. That's why authentication from a respected third-party grading service is so important before believing extraordinary value claims. Because when big money enters the conversation, so do fakes. Still with me? Good. Because this is where the story becomes even more exciting. The close AM variety wasn't widely recognized by everyday Americans when it first appeared. As collectors began studying Lincoln cents more carefully, they noticed that a handful of 1992 and 1992 D pennies had the wrong reverse style. That discovery turned ordinary-looking pennies into modern treasures. Imagine being the first person to notice something the entire country had overlooked. That's exactly how some of the greatest coin discoveries happen. Not with gold bars, not with pirate treasure, just with careful observation. Now let's talk about where these coins sometimes appear. Old bank rolls, family collections, estate sales, coin albums, forgotten coffee cans filled with change, even inherited jars that have been sitting in closets for years. Every one of those places has produced exciting discoveries in the past, which means the next amazing find could still be waiting. Here's another question. How often do you actually examine your pennies before spending them? Most people never do. That's why rare coins continue slipping through circulation. Collectors know this. That's why they search thousands upon thousands of coins every year. The odds may be small, but they aren't zero. And every major discovery started with someone deciding to look a little closer. Now let's build toward the question everyone has been waiting for. What is this coin actually worth? Well, here's the truth. A regular 1992 D Lincoln cent found in everyday circulation is usually worth only its face value unless it's in unusually high mint condition or has a recognized collectible feature. But a genuine 1992 D close AM variety is a completely different story. Verified examples have sold for thousands, and in exceptional certified grades, the prices have climbed dramatically because of their rarity and collector demand. This is exactly why sensational online headlines sometimes suggest values reaching extraordinary levels. Those figures generally refer to the rarest authenticated examples under exceptional circumstances, not to every 1992 D penny. The overwhelming majority are not worth anywhere near those headline numbers. That's why the details matter more than the date alone. One tiny design feature can mean the difference between 1 cent and a coin that serious collectors compete to own. Crazy, isn't it? And there's another lesson hiding inside this story. Knowledge creates opportunity. Someone who understands coin varieties immediately notices details that everyone else ignores. That knowledge is often worth far more than the coin itself. Think about how many pennies pass through American hands every single day. Millions. Maybe billions every month. Yet almost nobody checks the spacing of 2 tiny letters. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. It's a treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. Even if you don't discover the famous close AM variety today, you'll start seeing every coin differently. You'll notice mint marks, design changes, strike quality, possible errors. And those skills can help you recognize valuable coins in the future. Here's one final surprise. Many collectors say the excitement of searching is almost as rewarding as making the discovery itself. Every roll of pennies brings another chance. Every inherited collection tells another story. Every forgotten coin jar could contain something extraordinary. That's what keeps people searching year after year. So before you spend another Lincoln penny, take a few extra seconds. Look at the date. Find the small D mint mark. Examine the word America carefully with good lighting and magnification. Compare what you see with trusted references. If something appears unusual, don't clean the coin and don't rush to sell it without authentication. You never know what might be sitting right in front of you. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever found an unusual Lincoln penny? Or are you going to check your change after watching this? Share your story in the comments because your discovery might inspire the next great coin hunt. And if you enjoy uncovering hidden treasures hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we'll explore more rare coins, surprising varieties, and incredible collecting stories that could help you spot the next amazing find before everyone else does. Your next penny could be the one that starts an unforgettable adventure. Have you been carrying a 1997 Lincoln penny in your pocket without realizing it could be hiding an incredible story? Before you spend another cent, you need to know why one tiny detail on a 1997 D Lincoln penny has collectors paying astonishing prices for the rarest examples. Most people think every penny is worth exactly 1 cent. They toss them into jars, leave them in cup holders, or hand them over without a second thought. But every once in a while, an ordinary-looking coin turns into something extraordinary. That's exactly why thousands of collectors continue searching through rolls of 1997 pennies, hoping to uncover a rare variety or an unusual mint error that could be worth far more than face value. The 1997 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, producing billions of coins. At first glance, that sounds like terrible news for anyone hoping to find treasure. After all, if billions were made, how could any of them be valuable? Here's where things get interesting. Collectors don't just chase dates. They chase condition, rarity, and mistakes made during the minting process. And those 3 factors can completely change the value of an otherwise common coin. Think about it this way. Imagine 2 identical-looking pennies sitting on a table. One is worth 1 cent. The other could sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars because of something almost invisible to the naked eye. That's why experienced collectors never judge a coin too quickly. Now take a closer look at the front of your coin. You should see Abraham Lincoln facing to the right, with the date 1997 and a small D mint mark beneath the year. On the back, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial design that was used for decades before the shield reverse replaced it years later. Seems ordinary, right? That's exactly what makes these discoveries so exciting. Many valuable coins spend years hiding in plain sight because almost nobody looks carefully enough. Here's something many people don't realize. Minting millions of coins every day is an incredibly fast process. Massive presses strike planchets with enormous force, and sometimes something goes wrong. A die may crack. A design could shift slightly. A coin might be struck off-center. Occasionally, the wrong planchet enters the press. Those unexpected moments create collectible mint errors. And collectors absolutely love them. Before we talk about values, let's clear up one important misconception. You may have seen videos or social media posts claiming every 1997 D Lincoln penny is worth millions of dollars. That's simply not true. An ordinary circulated 1997 D penny is usually worth only face value, and even brilliant uncirculated examples often sell for modest amounts unless they are in exceptional certified condition or feature a significant mint error. But don't click away, because the rare exceptions are exactly what keeps collectors searching. Imagine opening an old coin jar that has been sitting untouched for 20 years. You dump the pennies onto the kitchen table. Most look worn and ordinary. Then one catches your eye. The lettering seems doubled. Or perhaps the design isn't perfectly centered. Maybe there's an unusual raised line running through the coin. Could it be damage? Or could it be a genuine mint error? This is where many people get confused. Not every strange-looking coin is valuable. Coins dropped on the ground, squeezed by machines, scratched, polished, or damaged after leaving the mint are generally not worth premiums. Collectors want genuine mint-made errors. Knowing the difference could save you from overlooking something truly special. Let's talk about some of the most desirable possibilities. An off-center strike is one of the easiest errors to recognize. Part of the design is missing because the blank wasn't positioned correctly during striking. Depending on how dramatic the error is and whether the date remains visible, values can increase significantly. Another possibility is a broad strike, where the collar fails to hold the coin during striking, creating an unusually wide appearance. Then there are die cracks. Over time, mint dies wear out under tremendous pressure. Tiny cracks form, leaving raised lines on the finished coin. Some die cracks are common, while dramatic examples become favorites among collectors. Next comes die chips. Small pieces break away from the die, leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin. These can create unusual features that specialists actively search for. But perhaps the most exciting category involves doubled dies. When genuine doubling occurs during die production, certain letters or numbers appear doubled under magnification. Not every form of doubling is valuable, but authentic doubled die varieties have attracted strong collector interest for decades. Here's another surprise. Condition may be even more important than the date itself. A common 1997 D penny found in circulation may never be worth more than 1 cent. But a flawless example preserved since the day it left the mint is an entirely different story. Professional grading companies examine coins under strict standards, assigning numerical grades from 1 through 70. That final number makes an enormous difference. A coin graded MS-63 might sell for only a modest premium. An MS-66 example could command much more. And a nearly perfect MS-68 or higher can become incredibly difficult to find because almost every coin picks up tiny marks during handling and transportation. That's why top condition examples sometimes surprise collectors with impressive auction prices. Here's something else worth checking. Look carefully at Lincoln's cheek. Inspect the jawline. Study the lettering in Liberty. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Then flip the coin over and inspect every column of the Lincoln Memorial. Tiny differences can separate an ordinary coin from one collector's find fascinating. Now imagine this. A family inherits several coffee cans filled with old pennies collected by their grandparents decades ago. Nobody expects much. They almost donate the entire collection. Then someone decides to inspect each coin individually. Hours later, they discover an unusual mint error that changes everything. Stories like these happen because patience beats assumptions. Most valuable discoveries are made by people willing to slow down and actually look. Here's another mistake people make. Cleaning coins. It sounds logical. A shiny penny should be worth more, right? Actually, cleaning usually reduces collector value. Even gentle polishing leaves microscopic scratches that professional graders immediately recognize. Collectors almost always prefer original surfaces. So if you think you've found something unusual, resist the urge to clean it. Instead, store it safely and consider having it evaluated by a reputable professional. Now let's build toward the question everyone wants answered. How much could a rare 1997 D Lincoln penny actually be worth? A normal circulated coin generally remains worth 1 cent. Nice uncirculated examples may sell for a small premium depending on quality. Certified high-grade examples can reach much stronger prices because so few survive in exceptional condition. Genuine mint errors often bring anywhere from tens to hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity, eye appeal, and collector demand. And the most spectacular, unique error coins can attract extraordinary auction results when multiple collectors compete for ownership. That's why headlines about valuable pennies continue appearing year after year. Not because every coin is valuable, because the rare exceptions truly exist. This is where the real treasure hunt begins. Every penny tells a story. Some traveled through millions of hands. Others sat untouched in original bank rolls. A tiny number escaped the mint with remarkable errors that transformed them into collectible pieces of American history. The challenge is figuring out which one you're holding. Before spending another 1997 D Lincoln penny, take 60 seconds to inspect it carefully. Use good lighting. Grab a magnifying glass if you have one. Compare it with other pennies from the same year. Look for unusual features instead of assuming every coin is identical. You might discover nothing unusual, or you might find the coin that every collector hopes to uncover. That's the excitement that keeps people searching through pocket change every single day. Nobody knows where the next remarkable discovery will appear. Could be inside an old piggy bank, a forgotten coin roll, a cash register, a garage sale. Or maybe it's already sitting in your own collection waiting for someone to notice the details everyone else missed. So here's my challenge for you. Go check every 1997 D Lincoln penny you can find today. If you spot an unusual error, an exceptional high-grade example, or anything that looks different from the rest, set it aside and research it carefully before spending it. You never know when one overlooked coin could become the most exciting discovery in your collection. And if you enjoy uncovering hidden treasures hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure you subscribe, because there are still countless American coins with fascinating stories, surprising varieties, and rare errors that most people spend every day without ever realizing what they had in their hands.